Maybe you thought the season was over. Well, you're wrong. Cro Race is back. Fantastic addition last year. Good start list again this year. I had to go on a bit of a holiday down to Madrid for a little party, but I'm back. We got some sprint stages as well as punchy finishes that suit returning winner Matej Moric, who beat Only and Vingegaard last year, and they finish in the punchy ones on these like cobbled climbs in these old towns. Good weather this year though. Trek here. INEOS with a pretty stacked team actually. Hayter, Plapp, Tarling, who just won Euros TT, and Viviani as their sprinter, but Moric was the big favourite for GC, and Mihajlovic, who was to his right, I think he's the son of one of the big principals at Bahrain. He's Croatian, and so this is a big race for them. But the first stage was a sprint stage, and it'd be who would control it when the breakaway eventually went, which I think had Ljubljana in it, as well as Yolo Kometa with Bevilacqua. Ravasi used to be on Yolo Kometa. Raul Garcia Piona is actually a good rider. I think he's changing teams. Keeper Kern Farmer, but they were kept in check by JPP, I believe, on Bahrain Victorious, and Jayco, curiously, which I think was for Campbell Stewart, who's normally a lead-out man. But yeah, they were keeping it in check well. Not INEOS, not UNOX, who've got Christoph, who've got Hayter and Viviani on INEOS, but break got brought back, no problem at all. 20Ks to go. DSM also have Tobias Lund Andersen, who's pretty rapid as well. INEOS do move to the front though with Platt with about 15, 16Ks to go. And who are they going for? It seems to be Elia Viviani, because Ethan Hayter's at the back, not part of the train. So we assume they're going for Viviani. They also have Magnus Sheffield here, who's one of the big favourites for GC. He did well in, that race, Thibaut Nice and Tullet, was it Norway? Sort of punchy stages like that. He should be good here as well. But yeah, nothing really changed in the run in the last 7Ks. You see Moric is in good position. Third wheel in his train, INEOS to the right, Jayco to the left, Yolo in the middle. It hadn't really changed at all for quite a while. DSM and UNOX not getting involved. Ala trying to be moved up by Caja Rural. He was decent in the Vuelta. And there's a right-hand turn coming up. Not too severe. It's a sweeping right-hand turn where that road, I think, is in the distance. And Luke Plapp puts INEOS in the best seat here. He gets through first and closes off Bahrain. Bahrain gets squeezed a little bit, and then this Yolo rider, I can't really see, but he has some sort of issue with the Jayco rider to the left of him, and he goes down, and Moric just gets taken out. You'll see on the front on, it's actually insane how Moric nearly saved this. The fact that a guy just went down in front of him, and he almost holds this up, which is completely insane. Only maybe if someone bumped him from behind, he went down. JPP, who'd been at the back, I think it is, sees him and realizes, oh no, our big GC leader and the favorite for this race overall is off the back. And so he basically waits ahead doing circles, but Moric took a while to get going. I don't know if he was sore or whether he had to get his chain back on. Doesn't have to change bike. You see JPP, I think, doing circles, waiting for him. And I was thinking they're going to drop everybody back. Okay, they might leave Govicar, the Slovenian sprinter, up ahead to just contest the sprint on his own, but they're going to want to drop everybody back. It was looking good at this point, though. They got the car, 2 riders, but INEOS absolutely send it with Josh Tarling, and all of a sudden it cuts back with 4.5Ks to go, and Moric is on his own, and groups are dropping off the back because Tarling sent it. Sheffield's then with him, and they're swapping turns, or they're about to swap turns. Tarling just won Euros TT. He's a big unit, third in Worlds TT, just behind Ganner and Remco. And Moric is on his own for not just a minute. And I'm thinking, where are the Bahrain riders? They have multiple riders in the peloton. And they dropped, basically JPP was already tired from chasing all day. He was already at the back. They dropped one rider back. That's not enough against an absolutely stacked INEOS train. So even though the peloton was close in the distance, when we saw him getting caught, it was too late to drop an additional rider back at this point. He'd already mentally or physically couldn't go anymore, Moric. I think that's Mihajlovic waiting at that point while Sheff and Tarling are pulling turns. So yeah, tough for Moric. It looked like his GC was going up in smoke at this point. Obviously, the 3-kilometer rule doesn't protect you outside of 3Ks, and he was losing distance now. And when he's sitting behind Tolhoek freewheeling, he's basically pulled up stumps. Even though Bahrain have at least 3 riders in the peloton right now. They've got Buratti, Govicar, and Keplinger, and they don't drop back 2 of those 3, which I think, and they should have dropped back an additional 2 immediately if they wanted Moric to save his GC. Maybe they didn't expect INEOS to spank it like they did, but I mean, 6Ks to go, technical run-ins in these Croatia race finishes if you've seen previous years. It's too late at this point with 2.3Ks to go with Mihalovic. Mohoric, maybe he's banged up from the crash, Mohoric, and it wouldn't have mattered if you dropped 10 riders back to him. But it didn't seem to look that way to me. Anyway, his GC's done, or at least in theory done at this point. Onto the sprint, INEOS trying to lead out Christoph, Luke Rose trying to bring back INEOS on the right-hand side, and Connor Swift does a magnificent lead out here for Elio Viviani. Aular gets detached from his lead out here. He's in the Venezuelan national champs jersey. Lund Andersen, whoever, pinches him off, and then Chef actually jumps ahead of him, and so Aular, kind of curious, because in the Vuelta, he was jumping every gap. He was jumping gaps that didn't exist. And now here he's like, you have it. Maybe he doesn't have a 2.1 Cro Race bonus for stage wins, but Swift gets to that corner first, and because the other riders don't have a lead out, they're just waiting on Viviani. So Swift, even though he was kind of done with 250, gets another free 75 meters. Viviani ducks out, ducks back in when he initially launches, and I think Lund Andersen maybe didn't know which way to go, whether Viviani was going to stay in the barriers, whether he was going to open up the gap to the barriers. You see as Viviani launches, goes to the barriers, opens back up as he changed gear. And yeah, Lund Andersen eventually comes out, and he's just not coming out quick enough. Christoph never looked like getting out of the draft. Stewart came from really deep late, but yeah, they did too much work early. Jaco didn't really have the lead out. Mohoric comes in about 50 seconds afterwards. With a parkour like this, that's too much to make up normally against riders of Sheffield's quality and INEOS team strength. But Viviani wins the stage ahead of Anderson, Christoph, Stewart, Lonani, Buratti, Parasini, Petrus, Govacar, Steininger, 2 Bahrain in the top 10. Kind of curious as well. But I hope you enjoyed the video. 5 stages left, and I'll see you with a recap of stage 2 tomorrow. Ciao.